Are we actually live?
Who knows?
Oh my god.
We're here. Good evening and welcome to another live stream. We are 5 minutes late tonight. Apologies for that. And that is down to our ineptitude to not use a computer.
Yeah, not. Turns out we can do many things, but using a computer is not one of them.
We'll blame the internet, I think, then. Let's go for a connection error.
Yep. Oh, there you go.
Hopefully a few of you are still watching. Once again, apologies that we're a little late. We were here, we were in front of the camera. I think there may have even been some audio streamed out.
Yep, sorry.
So apologies if there's a couple of cheeky little swear words popping there, but the angle is building in the build room where we are tonight.
See if it actually holds out this week.
See if it holds out. If we talk about stuff that's not important, then if it gets lost to the abyss of the internet. First big addition to the Hack Engineering team this week were these lovely thermal mugs provided by Jen upstairs. I don't know about you, but it took me 3 hours to drink my cup of tea this morning.
I haven't actually.
So I wouldn't actually advise to drink a hot drink out of it unless you like sipping it.
Apparently there were a few F-bombs. Apologies.
It automatically beeps them out.
I like technology until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then I get quite angry.
The worst part is we won't even know why it wasn't working.
No idea.
I think we were clicking the right buttons, but
yeah, absolutely no idea. But we're here now. I think we're fairly obviously human, to be honest, in regards to that comment there from ATS Des.
Yeah. So of course, if you are watching, there's a lot of you out there too. So let's hear from where you're watching from. It'd be good to know if we've made it outside the county of Sussex. So throw a comment in the old box and what you're up to on your Wednesday night.
Yeah, and do get some questions in because we had some bits written on the previous screen that we've now lost. So.
I think we've caused a great humour, to be honest, Ben, because I think the audio for the whole first 5 minutes was live.
Whoops.
Quite a Lewis.
Lewis supporters.
So we're not out of Sussex yet, but you never know.
Yeah.
Barkham,
we're literally up the road.
Is it next door?
Yeah.
So I'm a bit
you might have more success watching this if you actually just walk.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a bit of a buffer, just walk down to Bridge Farm and you can look in through the window. The audio will still be a bit crackly, but it might be better than this. Shall we get on to some car-related stuff, Ben? Pretty busy week again here at Hack Engineering.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild one. Probably one thing I was going to mention was this week we've had a lot of people, well this week and last week really, asking us about E46M3 drive shafts and what we can offer and kind of what's out there, and unfortunately the answer at the moment is basically nothing. To clear that one up, we do inner CV rebuild kits. As far as I know, nothing available for the outer. There are companies out there who, drive shaft specialist companies who will do them, but the dealers have stopped them. All of our sources that we've ever had for them have stopped them.
Yeah.
Turns out they're pretty difficult to get. So, not to that one. If anyone does know anywhere that you can get E46M3 drive shafts, and I'm not talking about 6 months ago, I'm talking about this week, do let us know. There's plenty of people out there that need them, and we can't get them anywhere that we can find. So, a plea for help.
A little plea for
help. And if anyone's good with technology, do also feel free to
come and anyone's with like a job where you wouldn't get paid to come and run a very successful live stream. Well, let's not jump into it quickly then. The metal straw, quite a game changer. Thermally terrible, because not only you don't burn your hand from the hot tea, but you suck the hot tea through the straw. And
maybe these are more meant for keeping things cool.
Maybe.
Also, I like the straw's got a retainer.
Yeah, good when you're running and you're just spilling everything.
It's the little things.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get us excited here. We've started a new session, a new segment in the Hack Engineering Workshop as well, where every morning we sort of gather around and watch sort of technical video from mainly stuff outside the BMW world, because we get a bit closed in on these four walls, getting obsessed with the mighty BMs So it's good to sort of watch what tech's going on from other manufacturers and sort of have a bit of discussion about that. So I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think probably the highlight so far, the one that's got us most excited, has been the new Gordon Murray Automotive T50S engine, and the normal T50 engine, to be fair. What a bit of kit.
Yeah, I do think that'll be, well, the last great supercar power plant, in my opinion. I think we might have discussed that last week, but
maybe. But if anyone hasn't seen it, it's a 12,000 RPM V12, normally aspirated, 3.9 litre and 700 odd horsepower. It's very, very cool. We've got some questions coming.
Yeah, how's the touring doing, Ben?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So we were actually laughing the other day, or I was. I've also got the Imp project, and I was determined to get that done by my 20th birthday. And yesterday was my 30th birthday, so I failed in that, and unfortunately I think the touring is...
You're 30?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. You hadn't mentioned it.
Well, this is actually my first video stream of my 30s, yeah.
So what do we have? Saturday was your last Saturday in your 20s.
Yeah.
You had a kebab, which was your last kebab of your 20s.
Yeah.
You had a bath. You told me about the last bath of your 20s.
Yeah. I've had the first bath of my 30s.
Yeah, so I was quite surprised. Yeah, I'm quite surprised to hear that.
It's quite a change. I feel completely different.
You look completely different.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Grumpy old man inbound. In case the swearing to begin with wasn't enough.
We have got a question there. Are the Milway adjustable top mounts compatible with Bilstein dampers and which springs, and IBAC springs, or are full coilovers required?
The beauty of those Milway coilovers Milway top mounts, is that they work with both. So they are compatible with both a standard sort of conical type spring and also a 60mm ID race spring. So no matter what you've got, or if you're looking at changing in the future, you can buy them now, fit them up with your your Bilstein shock and IBAC spring sort of set up, and then if you get coilovers later, swap them.
Yeah, they're a lovely bit of kit.
They are.
As much as suspension components go, Milway gets me quite excited.
Yeah, they are beautiful.
We just had a little question from our local viewer who grew up next to this unit, so I'm guessing that's the other unit next door. Are we taking on apprenticeships? Not at the moment, but we're also always on the lookout for enthusiastic people. So obviously we've got COVID going on at the moment, but if you're local, give us a heads up and pop down. We'll throw some masks on. We can always have a little chat, because although we're not taking on any people on, it's always good to sort of know who's about, and enthusiastic people are always the ones that fit into the team nicely.
Yeah, I think that's it. Enthusiasm goes a long way, and depending on your skill set, it might not be what you've got in mind, but we may have a chat, and who knows.
Yeah, so Nathan, get in contact and we'll sort something out.
Yeah, best way really is drop us an email.
Yeah, throw an email over to us and we can have a little chat.
Yeah.
As I did say, we're not really taking anyone on at the moment, but it would be nice.
No. I think we had another question from Dan.
We did. We've got a question. Dan Pitts, would you recommend a power steering delete on an E36 running a Z3 rack for the track? Wrap.
Possibly not. It depends. If you're running big sticky tyres, then
depends how big his arms are, really.
Yeah, also depends how big your arms are. It's a little bit of a workout. It's not too bad if you're not on slips or something like that. It probably also depends if you're looking at doing just track days, where you're maybe doing, I don't know, say 4 or 5 laps at a time, or up to 10, something like that. You're not doing an extended session, you probably will find it alright. But to be honest, probably my favourite kind of way to do it really is, just quite a few customers are doing, actually, it's starting to sort of take over a bit. Use a Mercedes electric power steering pump, so it just electrically powers the fluid pump. So it's not electric steering, it's just electro-hydraulic steering.
Yeah, getting rid of one parasitic loss on the engine as well, which on a track car is well.
Yeah, and quite often with setups like that, you can vary the amount of support you get or assistance you get. So if you prefer a bit more feel to it, you can dial back the assistance. So,
good ability. Steve Empson, who of course should have looked behind us and realised which engine is which. Steve's engine is that one there. So Chris was busy in here today, Steve. We've got your rings all gapped. We're now just waiting on some bearings to turn up, but that's very fizzy. That we're making good progress on that. So I'm hoping to get the head all done. Those bearings should be here shortly. So that's going to be a lovely little M50 build going into Steve's E36 turbo. It's got a 2.8 crank in it, so it's not up the capacity. So it's going to be quite exciting. I think if everyone sort of gives Steve a bit of a poke, because I think he fell out of love a bit with the car and sort of the time scale. We have had that engine, we've had a few setbacks with it, but when you want to build the best, you get setbacks because you really want to choose the right components, and you won't settle for anything else. So everyone, let's have a big old round of applause for Steve. Like, getting really motivated. Your car's going to be mega, Steve. You're going to love it.
Yeah, it will be really cool. I
mean, head over to his Instagram. You'll see some photos of it. He's really done some great work on like the rear end of the car and
Numpty Motorsport.
Numpty Motorsport. And Steve has gone down slightly. Like Steve was here.
Oh, I told him on the phone.
Now Steve's here. He had a pretty heroic Vectra that on occasion.
Miler, wasn't it?
I think it was a high line. Let's just loads of miles. On a couple of occasions, Steve ended up doing track days because of various reasons in the mighty Vectra. But he's sold that now, so unfortunately, Steve, you have dropped down a bit. So
doing a track day next month in his 330D. Which is quite cool.
What a hero!
Yeah.
So we're making progress with that, Steve. And we'll see you. We'll see you soon, really, when you pop up to pick it up. Yeah, pretty excited for you to fit it back in your car and start loving it, Steve.
I've got a couple of throttle position sensors. Oh, hang on. There's all sorts going on.
What?
How are the K swaps going? I think they are. ATS Delta said they seem to be quite a hit in the States. I think they are. There's more K24s out there. There's plenty here, but it seems to just be, for whatever reason, they love it out in the States. It's kind of building up a bit of momentum here. There are a few, we've got a few customers with K24 E30s, which some of them are actually really cool. So I can't remember his name, Josh, I think. Someone.
Just make it up.
He's building, so it's an ex-production BMW E30 race car, but with a K24 turbo in it, and all done properly and nicely, and that'd be quite something. The engines weigh so much less than BMW engines. Everyone will hate you. That just comes with it, but in terms of many reasons, it makes sense.
5 reasons, Ben. 5 reasons on the K-swap. You heard it here first. Except all those other videos that talk about K-swaps.
Yeah.
What we got? Number 1.
Cheap. I mean, the engine itself's cheap.
Yeah. What are we talking?
So I bought the K24 for mine. Whole engine, gearbox. The wiring had been cut off it, which is a bit nasty. But I literally manifolds, the entire thing, throttle body, everything, and that's 700 quid.
700 English pounds.
Yeah, and it's there's going to be a lot of parts to get it to fit, but if it blew up one day or whatever, which actually it probably won't because it's a Honda.
Well, it probably won't because it will never be fitted in the car.
Yeah, so true. Yeah,
you can't get more reliable than that.
So cheap,
Number
reliable,
2. Reliable.
just covered.
Number 3.
Lightweight.
Yeah, they are lightweight.
Number 4, powerful. I mean, in terms of normally aspirated, they'll do plenty of horsepower. They'll rev. There's so much power support out there. Or if you put a turbo on them, then you can not have to open them up and be pushing on 500 horsepower. Probably more, I'm sure, but we like to talk about stuff that's actually reliable, not a one-hit wonder.
Well, yeah.
Definitely. I'll have to do number 5.
Well, yeah, because there's 5 things.
People will hate you.
Sweet. I don't really struggle with that problem anyway, so I don't think I need to look into getting a K-swap just to achieve that.
Something different.
As with anything, you get the bonuses of having something slightly different, but there's also that support in there with also all the parts you can get aftermarket for them, so they're a pretty easy conversion because you've got all the bits to do it nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, if you're thinking of doing a K20 or K24 swap, do have a look at the K-Power section on our website. We've actually got a fairly decent amount of that in stock at the moment. Just had a delivery a couple of days ago. So you do some nice in-turn manifolds. All those engines were front-wheel drive originally, so you'd have to move a lot of the stuff to face forwards rather than sideways, sort of thing. But yeah, we do in-turn manifolds, throttle bodies, all sorts that isn't BMW swap specific. It's for any K-powered rear-wheel drive swap, gearbox adapters.
It's nice stuff as well, and it's nicely made.
It's really nice.
Not silly prices.
Yeah, and some of it there are rival products out there, but I haven't seen them. It's just buy it once. And
We
get
looked
stuff.
into K-Power, didn't we? And that was sort of right. That's what do we want? We want to offer the ability to people to K-swap their stuff. Who makes the best stuff? And K-Power sort of came up top, didn't they? So
Yeah, big time. So that covers the Honda section of this Q&A.
right, we've got 10 viewers at the moment, Ben, and none of them are asking any questions.
Get some questions.
I'm getting a bit thin on my bit of paper here, so
Yeah.
here's a live stream at the end of the day. If we were going to just read out,
a nice document of all the other questions that's gone along with the technical.
yeah, exactly. So it's a live stream. So if you've got something that's on the back of your mind or at the front of your mind, put it in the comment box, and we'll do our best to answer it.
Yeah. In the meantime, you do have quite a shiny.
We do.
Shiny Conrad
We're
there.
going to do a nice little product. Well, hang on, I'll get close to the camera. I'll rotate it in a fashionable way.
Oh. We're on a bit of a delay, so it's a little bit difficult to predict what we're doing here.
I'm still having a pit. Oh, I'm getting close to the camera. Here we go.
So.
Do some Star Wars music, Ben.
Oh, I can't remember any of it right now. So anyone who knows the inside of an engine will know that's a Conrod, and that is an Arrow Conrod, which are really the best in the business. They are made in the UK, and they are actually made in the UK, not quite a few brands out there say they're made somewhere and actually they're not. So that is for Mark's S14.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a really, really nice engine. I think he's used it on track quite a bit, really, isn't he?
Yeah, so Mark's based over in Jersey, in the sunny Isles. But yeah, it does venture off the island from time to time to cane his E30, I think, and he was quite happy to say, have a look at the engine because it's been thrashed for the last 34 years, first 34 years of its life. So it was unopened, and sure enough, everything was a bit worn out. But Mark's been happy, and we've sort of advised him on what components to go for. So we've gone for a nice match of, as you say, Arrow rods, CP Crillo pistons, and more other goodies. But
yeah, I think one of the things we probably get asked about most is about Conrod choice. There's quite a few manufacturing processes that are not perhaps known about when you're looking at different Conrods. So I mean, any Conrod that either doesn't come with bolts in it, we've moaned about this before.
Yeah, exactly.
Any Conrod that doesn't come with bolts in it, don't go there. It's just not okay. So basically, the two halves of the Conrod are bolted together to their final figure before the big end is honed.
Yeah,
or in this case, machined.
And on these, that joint is so lovely you can't
see it.
You can obviously see, so it's recessed around the outside of the rod, but on the actual inside of the housing, there is no evidence of that joint, and that's because they've been machined together at that final torque.
Yeah.
A nice little feature of these is the little end bush as well. It's nice and thin. They're just lovely, aren't they?
They are. Yeah.
They really are a nice bit of kit.
Yeah. There's a few bits as well that I think Arrow do quite differently. I went to the factory a while back, and the machinery there and the processes that they use are just insane, and it is very much the best of the best. We'll probably save that for another video, but we've also been asked a bit recently about rifle drilling Conrods, which where you have drilling up from the big end to the small end. It's not the thing to do. It means you're directing oil pressure to a relatively unregulated end of the rod, and you're just taking oil pressure away from those big ends which need it. On BMW stuff especially, they need it big time. So I hope that answers a little bit about Conrods.
Yeah, Conrod. And what does Conrod stand for, Ben?
Connecting rod.
You heard it here first, guys. We've had another question in from George Stevens, so E46 M3 related. He's going to look at one of the weekends. We get this a lot, don't we? Oh, I'm going to look at this car.
Yeah.
What are their weak points? And generally the people end up not going to look at the car once we've told them all the problems that it could have. But yeah, you're going at the weekend, George, to have a look at E46 M3. It's got 105,000 miles on it, which isn't mega mileage, but it's also the mileage that you want to get everything done.
Yeah, that is, 100,000 miles on an E46 M3 is your rebuild half the car time.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It seems. So big end bearings. Don't look at the internet and find the people that give you the answer you want in cases like that. There are plenty of people out there who say that it's all a myth, they're only doing their car's fine. They're usually the ones you see all over the internet, all over Facebook groups, whatever, say, my car's fine, 140,000, and then 2 weeks later they give us a ring saying they've got a knock and essentially their engine's been reduced to absolute scrap. But,
unfortunately, I mean, you've got the advantage that you haven't bought the car yet. So if you're looking at owning an E46 M3, you need to know these things. You almost need to factor it into the price of buying one. You're going to pay a bit more to get one that you know the work's been done by sort of a reputable garage, or you factor that into sort of your buying price and saying, okay, I'm going to spend that on the car, but I'm going to have to spend so and so getting all these jobs done. Because as you say, if they do fail, it's new engine time.
Yeah,
and it's not always mileage either. 105k. You don't know what the first 105k were like. You only need to have one owner that just like dragging it out of his garage, straight up the street on a cold engine, and that's done the damage for every sort of owner afterwards.
Yeah, we mentioned it time and time again.
Yeah, it's pretty much every week.
Yeah, had a Z4M. To date is our probably lowest mileage big end bearing job that was on 36,000 miles, and they were right down to the copper and really not in a good way. And that was next demonstrator that probably people have jumped in, put the foot down. Other cars we see, I think especially actually track cars, even though they get the hardest use, they generally get warmed up properly.
Yeah, they get used, they get regular oil changes.
And actually quite often their bearings are better than road cars that
I'd agree with that.
Have to be started up, moved, run. They don't get time to warm up. There's so many variables, but you'll also be looking at head gasket, Vanos. If the boot floor hasn't been done, sort that out. That's not one that we do here, but there are plenty of people that do.
Check out the front arches. See a few cars with dodgy repairs there because they do sort of trap dirt and moisture up on top of the arches and rot them out. So have a check there. Check it's not full of fiberglass and just been sprayed over.
Yeah, it's quite amazing some of the stuff we've seen.
Pug the hole up, spray it and move the car on. So they're the things to sort of look out for.
Yeah, trying to see if it's the right colour. Generally manuals are worth a bit more. And it's a clean shell and there's no current problems with the engine. It's a good buy.
Yeah, they're only going to go one way.
Just factor it. That's always the name of the game. Neil Stewart, I saw there was something. Got a couple of throttle position sensors. Are they straightforward to fit? Yes, to an extent. Actually, a customer asked us to price up fitting one this week, and there's more than one, and depending on which one you're changing it, it'll change it. There's one on the front of the throttles. That's a really easy.
Yeah, that's the easiest one. Just a screwdriver will pop that.
And make sure you get a nice fitting screwdriver because those screws.
Yeah, they're pretty soft. I don't know what BMW are thinking making there.
Yeah,
you want to get it a perfect fit.
Yeah, to be honest, maybe buy new screws.
Yeah, don't put a Posi screwdriver in it because you'll munch it even more. So yeah, nice fitting Phillips. And that's the easiest one to change. That's literally unclip, unscrew, pop a new one on.
Yeah. The second one is on the actuator, which is under the airbox, so you've got to get all the airbox off. Other than that, same job. Unplug it, 2 screws.
Yeah.
Swap it, and then the third one's on the pedal, which is a little bit trickier to get to, but again, not too bad. Just can be a little bit time consuming. And that's that. And also, you actually have to reset your adaptations afterwards. They're one of the things that really learn their position, minimum, maximum, and if you don't reset it, it'll probably run like an absolute bag of nails.
Hissy bit. Dan P, would you ever take on race car prep work, or do you only work on engine rebuilds? So obviously we've got a fully set up workshop, and we're pretty booked up into the foreseeable. And
I think
unfortunately
started booking into May, unfortunately today.
Yeah, but yeah, we do take on sort of race car stuff. Unfortunately, we're not set up for geometry quite yet. But in terms of nut and bolt underneath and every other aspect of it, yeah, we definitely carry that out. And we all come from racing backgrounds that far more enjoy sort of working on that area as opposed to road cars. But yeah, we do a bit of both.
Yeah, I'd say sort of your bare shell builds where we don't have the space at the moment. Just because we're so busy, but it's all part of the future plan. Really, is to be able to offer that service. So yeah, drop us a message with whatever you're thinking. I assume there might be Dan P that asked the question on there.
Could well be. I thought
we were talking about a bit of race prep stuff. But yeah, just drop us a message or email or whatever, and we'll do our best to answer you. And if it's not an element of the job that we do here, then we'll probably be able to recommend somebody who can.
Yeah, that's it. We work quite closely with a few companies locally that do sort of the bits we don't do, whether it be upholstery or alignment work.
Yeah, they got some really good upholstery guys just down the road. Unfortunately, they used to be in walking distance of the.
Yeah, they used to be just down the road. It's the last time I needed to use them, and they moved.
They secretly moved
away. But still great guys. Another question: any new parts, Ben, in development?
Always, but it's
been a little bit quiet. Layers we're trying to get for a bit of a backlog of work, but
yeah,
a few things on the agenda, haven't we?
Always, yeah. We've got some nice underbody braces for E46s where you got the two braces. One holds the exhaust, the other one is literally just a brace. So we've got a replacement for that. It's nice laser cut aluminium, looks really smart. Just to tidy things up under there because they always go really crusty and horrible.
Yeah, they rot out. Well, I know why, because they've got a little pond in them. So
yeah,
they fill up
they gather.
and rot out, and yeah, they're not great. So that'll be a nice little upgrade that I imagine we'll be fitting a lot of down the road.
Got shifter paddles for F80s and all the newer F series stuff. Been testing those out. They work really nicely. We've just got a few tweaks to make. There'll be CNC billet aluminium. What else have we been doing? All sorts really. I think in the workshop or within these four walls really, our push lately has really been actually making quite a few tools and things for just to always push engine building. If something's very good, that's different to it being as good as it can be.
Well, yeah.
We've been sort of really polishing up our act with all the engine builds we do, both to make life easier and the end product, those teeny little last percentile better. So yeah, as you might have seen on the Hack Engine Machine Shop page, I think it was. I can't remember which one. But made new ring grinding tools and stuff.
I forgot about Chris being busy out there.
All mounted up in the lathe, so all our
getting our surface finish on our gaps, which although it's not massively, it's all the little bits, isn't it? It's like all the pieces of the pie. So they were good before, but they're even better now.
Especially with normally aspirated stuff. Any engine is going to benefit just from those tiny bits, but normally aspirated, if you're really pushing for those last few horsepower.
It's just all the little bits that add up to make a good engine that we're now pushing out. So, E46 V brace.
No plans.
I thought about it. Just haven't really got around to it.
The problem is, I think the BMW ones are actually. They're not amazing, but they're alright.
And they're not silly price, I think
they're surprisingly cheap.
£95 including that, which for a BMW product that comes in a box, it's actually quite big, isn't it? It's a bloody bargain.
I remember the first one we had that was rotted right through.
Yeah.
And we, held our breath and asked BMW, and it really wasn't that bad. So, unfortunately, not one.
As good as it is to, make aftermarket parts, if it's not going to actually do much and going to cost about the same as OE, you might as well just go OE.
We have seen that quite a few times where people go out their way to make a product that maybe they haven't researched and checked that the BMW cost is cheaper than theirs and is either nicer or just as nice. And it's unfortunately, especially if it's like that, it's only worth it if you make a big batch of them, and if they're not really a a part that has any advantage, then they're probably not going to sell that well. Unfortunately, it's just not worth it. But yeah, if you have any other product ideas, just shout at us. We're always looking for ideas. We through looking after so many of these cars, or having had them ourselves or had difficulties before, that's where the business was born from. So if you've got other things that we perhaps haven't thought about, just let us know.
We should have like an intermission screen.
Yeah.
People to walk out and get their ice creams.
Yeah, we should actually. I think probably thanks to our technical mishap, we've
definitely lost a couple of viewers as on last week.
Yeah.
Any more questions out there? Obviously, get them in the comments box. Otherwise, we'll be waffling on about.
Questions can be anything as well. I think if you feel pressured to ask a technical BMW question, don't. If you want to know what Alex's favourite ice cream is, or whatever.
Tell me about your perfect Sunday.
My perfect Sunday.
It's like a Hot Fuzz reference.
The E46 rear tubs need a solution. The OEM panels have so much wastage when being repaired.
What's your opinion?
Right, so
a big issue.
Yeah.
We have got. They just can't design a bearing then with a strong enough tang.
Yeah, let's grab these rods. I've been through the wash, so they're not looking quite shiny, but
don't think that's
it's matched.
Yeah, no, not a match. It's 2 pieces.
Oh yeah.
Chris is sitting there thinking, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, touching stuff. So
here we go.
Oh, ideal.
I'll take.
We were having a bit of a giggle the other day. I would say that would be a fair comment to make. I've seen it in a couple of places, but watching YouTube videos saying that the problems with S65 bearings is that the locating tab isn't strong enough. So
it's very important you have a strong tab.
To show you what we're talking about, the locating tab is here. So it's a little notch in the bearing, basically. Hopefully you can see that all right. Unfortunately, we're on a few seconds delay, so I can't see what I'm showing you until. Yeah, I've come up. I'm just waiting for it. There you go. So this bit up here. So basically, that it's actually called a tang, and that is there so that when you're mass producing an engine or just rebuilding an engine, you've got something there to sit that in the rod from side to side. Otherwise you'd have to measure where in the rod that bearing is sitting. It is nothing at all to do with how that bearing sits in the rod radially. It's not a strength part, it is purely for alignment.
Yeah, that's all it's there for.
Yeah.
And yet so many people seem to think that is what is holding that bearing.
Yeah.
Holding it in place, and it's just absolutely. It makes me so angry because, we don't know. We're not YouTube superstars. We're not very charismatic. But you get people out there that, they're also not charismatic. They're just spieling a load of rubbish, and people at home are sitting there lapping it all up, and it's just spreading all this absolute nonsense.
It's misinformation at the end of the day.
It is misinformation. All right, it's not like a massively critical piece of information, but. That's the bit that we've seen. There's people sending stuff out there, and people then go in their garages at home and do work on stuff with like this complete misinformation.
Yeah.
It causes just premature blow-ups, premature damage.
And that, the thing that holds the bearing in place is how that's crushed into the rod essentially, and sort of almost the grip around the back of the bearing. Yeah, to an extent. It's not held there by a tab or
no.
The one difference I have seen is some really extreme drag racing stuff will actually have like a dowel in the rod that the bearing sits against, but that is for minimal use, and then it gets thrown away. It's a completely different ball game, and the bearing spinning is a result of bearing wear, not not something that, it doesn't go the other way around. So I'm sure someone out there is watching thinking, oh, why don't they just dowel a rod for it's not the way it works.
No, definitely not.
And to be honest, I'd be interested to see some studies about doweling rods. I'm not.
I'd quite like to hear the opinion of this Chris Shaw bloke, to be honest.
Chris Shaw.
Because he comes across as, he's probably one of these misinformationers.
Maybe.
I'd like to know where he works.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. Bloody punk rocker. Quick question from George Stevens again.
Yeah.
Thanking us for our little tech nugget there. Would you ever do rod bearings in the car, or would you always do it with the engine out?
No, very routine to do it in the car. Do it all the time, literally week in, week out. We drop the front subframe off, and you can drop the sump off to support the engine. I think there's plenty of people out there who say they'll just swap them over.
Problem is it is a more engineering-y, engine building based task, so it's not just a case of throwing some bearings in. It's getting it apart, getting everything clean, actually doing all our measurements in there. Unfortunately, we can't do the process of measuring our bearing clearances.
Yeah, it's not the same process we're doing here.
We can't do it because the engine's in the car and all the components are still attached to each other. But we can still sort of calculate our clearances by a few other techniques. So although it's not as accurate, it's still, as you say, we do plenty of them. And still, it's not just a case of throwing them in. There are some special checks to sort of do while you're doing the job.
Yeah, and we have seen it done wrong plenty of times as well. Part of that conrod process of the two halves being together and machined together, you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I do.
Those are doweled rods in terms of they've got dowels going through the bolt holes. A standard BMW rod isn't doweled, it's actually fracture split. Have we got one?
Oh, yes, we did.
Unfortunately, it might be.
Yeah, he's done up, but you might just about see that fracture line.
Yeah. Shame we don't have another one sat around.
Sorry, how good is this camera? So there's our rod. Rather than being completely flat, two machine parts that are then put together and machine the final bore, it's actually machined and then freeze cracked. So you've got sort of that fracture line that you can just about see there. In an ideal world, obviously, I'd have this in two pieces, and you'd actually be able to see that sort of the mating faces and how rough they are and how absolutely critical it is that cap goes back on that rod.
Yeah. So it's essentially a completely random fracture, which means that rod can only sit perfectly together in theory, and it's a cheaper way of doing it because you don't then have to split the rod down, machine it, dowel it, put it back together, then do the finished process. You can basically do all the big end process and then split the rod. Keeping that rod with that cap, it's always critical, but it seems to be harder to get wrong, even to an amateur, if they're fracture split, because you can see how they fit together. And yet we've seen from other BMW specialists a cap fitted the wrong way around,
and somehow it ran alright.
Yeah,
it had a slight knock at about $3.5 grand. Other than that, it sounded it ran alright, and then took it. I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, what's going on?
Yeah, it was. I'm just going to say it was so stupid that we almost overlooked it because we just don't think someone could get that wrong. Of course we did realise, and that engine needed a complete rebuild because it had actually just completely munched itself. Yeah,
all the big end clearances were of course completely out the door because the rod was so wonky where it sort of fractured, and on back to front. It just caused severely premature bearing failure at something like 70 miles. So. A lot. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great show. Joel Hibbert is a customer of ours, isn't he? Tell us about Joel's car, Ben.
Joel has a very nice Yas Marina Blue F80 M3, sort of stage 1 spec. So it's still got catted downpipes and things, but it's a rapid bit of kit, I have to say. I've been in theoretically more tuned M3s that aren't as quick as his. So quite what he puts in that petrol tank, I don't know. But
he got himself in a bit of trouble recently, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, I think Joel's
trading
probably
his wife's car for a
hero of
GT3.
lockdown. Yeah, he got bored gardening and
Was it?
correct us, Joel, if we tell this wrong. But
Yeah.
got a bit bored gardening, so just popped down to Porsche and traded his wife's X5.
Muddy
for
all
a
over him,
GT3.
apparently the story was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like muddy old jeans, pair of flip flops or something.
Yeah.
I like to think.
They looked past him and he showed them, well, shut them up by buying a GT3 off the full course. A bit of a hero, and we still need to see that car actually.
Yeah.
You should pretty keen on Joel bringing that down at some point. But yeah, I don't know. He's saying on Saturday he might sell the M3 sadly, but can't really let that happen.
Well, he was wishing you a happy birthday.
Well,
anyway.
thank you, Joel.
So.
ATS Des, that's his Instagram handle.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable using ATS Des because we've known him for so long.
Yeah, because obviously all our live streams used to be on Instagram, and your comments were regular.
Regular, I would
No,
say.
not in a negative way.
I'd say
we love it.
super fan status.
Super fan status, yeah.
Sunny day off. Are you jumping on your bike for a ride or sitting in the Renault/touring, making engine noises?
One, I can't remember a sunny day. Two, I can't remember a day off.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're pretty intense 6 days a week here, working on customer stuff, trying to keep up, to be honest. So unfortunately, all of the projects have taken a bit of a back seat lately.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll make a return soon. We've had staff furloughed and all sorts, and it's meant less manpower here. Some working from home even, and it does just consume time like you would not believe.
Yeah.
Sadly the touring and the Renault haven't been touched really. So sunny day off, I'm kind of just having a few hours to not think about cars.
I'll probably eat some
Go for a
cheese,
big
I think,
old
if I had a sunny day off.
Yeah.
Eat some cheese outside.
Yeah,
Have some nice crackers.
yeah. With a gin or
Yeah, maybe a gin or two, some cheese and crackers.
nice. What a way to
Sorted.
spend a day off.
Yeah. Just need the sun. It's
Yeah.
coming, folks. It is coming.
George Stevens has replied again. Perhaps that was sorry.
Yeah, it's in relation to
delayed
doing-
comment to the yeah.
She's doing the rod bearings.
So
But maybe it's a point worth talking because it is. That's workshop. This is engine building.
yeah, and they are two very separate.
They're two very separate things done by two very differently capable people.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say. We haven't tried him on it because it's not his job. But Chris, who's in here building engines, he's immaculate and using.
He broke a nail yesterday, man.
Oh no, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I'm not here for one day.
it was bad.
This room is absolutely spotless, and if you start then working in the workshop, coming in here, you pull that dirt in, and that's not. You then, as soon as you let it slip a little bit, it's a really hard thing to keep a clean room clean, and is time consuming, and it's worthwhile. Engines have to be spotless, but for an engine refresh, where we're not stripping it right down to component form, it'll be done in a clean area outside, but it's not the clean room.
Yeah.
Parts of it might come in here for rebuild work, like the oil pump or whatever. But
From what I see online, our workshop's about as clean as most other people's clean room, and then we have here, which
yeah,
it's not to big up, but it's true. I mean, you see people build an engine in the corner of the workshop, and there's just stuff everywhere, and they're doing it next to like
on the
a
floor.
wooden block, and like gravel, and like next to a door where the wind's blowing in. In here we have like our refresh zone in the workshop, don't we? And it's like pretty bloody clean.
Yeah,
And then obviously in here where we keep it like surgical status.
yeah.
I had a new kidney fitted in here last week actually. Worked
Is
out.
that an upgraded double pumper kidney? Was it?
Yeah, the double pumper 6. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Out of the Botswanian tree lemur.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
good kidneys.
MRF Photomotive. What is the latest delicacy from Truffles Bakery?
Oh, what a question!
Yeah.
So, how can we move on without talking about Friday?
Yeah. What a
Friday last week, 5 days ago now, 6 days, 5 days, 5 days ago. It was a big build up last week. I think we mentioned it on the live stream last week.
Yeah, I think we did. even quantities I think were discussed. I mean, Truffles promised a lot with their donut, and boy did they deliver.
What we're talking?
Just fresh.
Let's start with the
goodness.
box. We're
Oh,
a
okay.
box.
Yeah,
How
so
big? Do you reckon?
we now get the official sort of bakery boxes rather than
Bakery
just
boxes.
individual.
She waves us like we walk out. She hoots the horn. Sandwich van pulls into the yard. The hoot goes doot 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 doot. You're like, oh, sandwich van's
So,
here. Grab one.
It used to
count
have a
10.
chime,
Yeah.
and then it broke, so now she just drives
She
around
is
the yard full pelt beeping.
And so yeah, we grab a bottle of milk, and then she gives me a wink, gives me a nod. We walk around the back of the other van. She pops,
Directed to the tradesman's entrance. don't you?
she pops her special hatch, pulls out this great big white box full of prime Gold Bar donuts.
They were good as well. So what even was that? Oh, just
A donut.
yeah.
Topped with, there was like a primary
It's like
icing
a-
on there, wasn't
there
it?
was.
Like a coating, like
And
a
then-
glaze. I'd call that a glaze.
A glaze. Yeah, it was a glaze, I
Yeah.
suppose, with crushed Gold Bar in it.
Oh, this one little crunchy.
Crunchy gold nuggets, I suppose.
Crunchy gold nuggets with a frosting, like a Gold Bar frosting in the middle,
Yeah.
topped with just a whole Gold Bar,
Mm.
and then more crunchy goodness.
And we bought 16 of them.
Yeah, and we
Um,
ate all of them.
It was a good day in the workshop actually. Fridays, the way things work out, basically there's fewer of us here on a Friday, so it's a fairly heavy day of eating. We did save them for people, but
That's a good question.
what is this? Is it toffee apple?
Toffee apple this Friday. I'm
There's
excited for
something
the
more
white
to it. I can't
white
remember what
chocolate.
it is.
Sticky
Toffee apple crumble.
Toffee apple crumble.
Crumble, yeah.
So tune in next week and we'll give you a review of the toffee apple. We're not going to get 16 of them this week because my jeans don't fit this week, Ben. And I
Yeah.
think it's because of those donuts.
Yeah, I have not felt well.
Here we have a question, Ben,
Mm.
that I know your answer to and I know my answer to.
Yeah.
Evening, fellas. Non-BMW car tech question. What hot hatch for the dream garage?
Ooh. I have never been in one, and to be honest, I've never really actually spent any time in like working on one. Nothing, but have always quite fancied a Renault 5 GT Turbo.
I was thinking, I read the question, I thought I would go Yaris GR, and then I
Hang on, sorry.
So I was like, yeah, Ben's
I
going
was
to say
thinking
that.
old.
Then I'm going to say that, but then I actually thought about it, and I'd love, I can't remember, is it Mark? Clio Williams with the gold wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's
was that Mark 1 Clio, I think?
That Mark 1?
Pre-facelift.
Yeah.
With a front flipping bonnet, I believe.
Yeah, you are correct. Yeah, so I think, that like wouldn't mind one of them in my dream garage. It's quite interesting that both of them are Frenchmen.
Yeah, interesting. But Yaris GR. Now you mentioned
Like that is hot hatch to
if
next
it's going to
level.
sit in the garage as a little weekend car, something old. If it's something I'm going to have to drive every day or on a more regular basis than a Yaris GR, because that thing looks mega, and it has some really interesting engine tech, and it's just the kind of car that should be being produced. Really, it's,
Definitely.
it's all very well having massive engines and whatnot in stuff that actually isn't particularly viable on the road these days, but a fun little hatchback. I mean, it's not exactly slow either. It's, you know.
Rapid little.
So that's what the hot hatch should be about to an extent. I mean, it's pretty extreme. It's definitely a hyper hatch, I suppose, rather than a hot hatch. But
Talking of hot hatch, so I saw a nice on eBay. It's a project earlier. I can't remember, was it a Fiat 115? It's like a 1.5 litre 1925 wooden wheels.
nice.
That's a hot hatch. They loved it. I was like, it was 24,500 £24,500 more than I'm willing to spend at the moment.
Oh, okay.
It was 25 grand. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm into my older stuff, Ben. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
I'd love like a pre-war car.
Yeah, I think it's cool because I'd say years ago I wouldn't have excited me at all, but now, after years of being more involved, I suppose, how the hell did they make it? I just don't understand. Like,
Well,
it's really cool.
this thing had direct ports into the head. So on a cold morning, if you couldn't get it, you open these little taps, pour petrol straight into the cylinders, close the taps, got the old crank handle going and fired her up. I was like, those are the days.
Yeah,
I mean, people
cool.
probably died just trying to start that thing.
Yeah, number of broken arms
Yeah.
involved. But
Broken arms and
yeah,
blindness.
definitely. I think a lot of it that excites me is how stuff's made as much as what it does.
Yeah.
To be honest, so yeah, the tech behind the Yaris almost probably excites me as much as.
Yeah, I feel like
I love
that's
driving
right.
as well. But
It would have been cool to be like the initial design brief of the GR and be like, right,
yeah,
what do we want?
yeah, must have been a fair bit of budget involved. It's
Yeah, I thought so.
barely a Yaris really, but cool. Got some more questions as well. ATS Des, work comes first. Fair play, lads. Cars and coffee event in the summer if restrictions allow. Yeah, that would be really nice to do. We've actually got. I've been meant to have a chat with them. I won't mention any names for now, but got quite a cool sort of car cafe type place opening up just down the road. A bit of a miniature cafe and a machine, hopefully. So I hope to team up with them and maybe see if we can do some meets there. But we've been so busy, I haven't really got onto that. And to be honest, it's at the moment you almost don't want to get too excited about restrictions lifting in case they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. But for now, we'll just keep quiet about that and hopefully get some bits planned in the background. Chris Shaw, if you guys were in the same car, who would be faster around the ring?
It's got to be a trick question because surely it would be depending who's driving.
I think the point is we swap.
Oh right, what, halfway around?
I don't know.
I'd like to think if I was in a Talbot Express, I could go around quicker around the ring than you could in a Talbot Express.
Okay, you just know the quirks so much better.
Yeah.
So if it was a terrible vehicle, Alex would maybe be. I don't know.
You do know, but you obviously.
Yeah, I'd say I generally drive quicker than you and have done more track driving, I guess.
Yeah.
But who knows? Alex could surprise us and wipe the floor with me.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely seen my prowess on motorbike track days. We've done a couple of them together, and you did overtake me a lot of times on that crappy old road going 600 while I was on a dedicated track bike. So yeah, I think we do know the answer to this question.
Yeah. I've got escort van. There would
Yeah,
be no time
wait,
set because
how
we'd
many
both be
miles?
dead.
How many miles around the ring is it? It's like
12.
13 miles or something?
Yeah, 12, it depends on the exact layout, but yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter because the escort van wouldn't make it past mile 1.
No, I think it'd be that initial bit where you leave the pits and have to go up to the bridge to start your
Actually,
time. If you make
hang
it
on.
there, you've done well.
Hang on. Where's the Nürburgring then?
Germany.
How the fuck are we going to get there? Sorry, that wasn't.
Yeah, that
Got a
was
bit
it.
excited about the prospects.
Yeah, I think you'd have to trailer an escort van. Anyone who doesn't know the relevance of this, we have a lovely escort van that we bought that looked quite clean. I think we both love. Both grew up in the 90s and into your cars.
Speak for yourself then, we're not all 30.
And all the local motorbikes and whatnot would all have escort
Yeah,
vans.
I remember the day when they were going round.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them were on the road,
They're everywhere.
but how?
So we saw this clean one come up and decided it was a good idea to buy it. And,
It looked clean from where we were in Sussex when it was in Wales.
Yeah, I drove all the way to Wales. And yeah, it didn't look as good in the flesh, but it looked alright. And then, we used it for quite a while and then popped up on the ramp to give it a pre-MOT check and found that half the van was actually missing.
Or had been replaced with filler.
Yeah. So we actually had to cut most of that van out.
A lot of welding, new
Yeah.
shocks. And then once we did fix it, we realised that it was still really slow.
Yeah.
And actually, rust weighs less than steel, so we'd added like 500 kilos in original body weight because it wasn't full of
I
rust.
love the how many metres of welding wire in that thing in the end.
God.
It just
So much.
you started fixing one bit and then went to attach the other side of the panel you just made and find that actually there's no metal there and it just carried on and on.
So once we got the bodywork fixed, we got an MOT on it, and we thought having a retro van, because that's the problem. The escort van made up until 2002.
Not actually that old.
Not that old. You think, yeah, that van's not that old, but they're comparable with something to like early 80s, really.
Yeah.
They didn't move on a lot.
Build quality, just
Pretty awful.
I have to say,
Material.
I know a lot of people in the sort of older old, classic Ford world, and I mentioned to them that we were thinking of buying it, and they were trying, don't do it, they're so bad. I was like, well, they probably just had bad memories of them when they were new. Now that they've been, a few years older and the bad ones have gone.
What I don't get is Ford had a van with, 61 horsepower. Yeah, they badged it as a 55. Let's demote. What is that? 10% of our power? It's like, so I've got this 250 brake car, but I'll sell it as a 225.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
So slow.
God knows. Yeah.
What was worse, I think you bought it thinking it was a 75 brake.
I did. The guy conned me.
You had.
I did.
Absolutely.
I 75s have a turbo, and I turned up. I was like, it hasn't got a turbo. It can't be one. And he reassured me that it was. And I should have relied on my own knowledge.
Oh, Ben, we've just had a nice little offer.
I
am getting a GR in July. Shall I visit in the summer?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah, Piers has got a really cool. Hopefully, the E30 hasn't gone to make way for the GR, but really cool E30 touring. Also got a proper hot hatch in a 106 GTI, maybe. I don't know.
So what you're saying is the dream garage he was talking about, he's got.
Yeah. Piers is living the dream.
Yeah. What's your dream garage?
Actually, ended up with my old E30 touring for a bit as well. I don't know if he's still got it, but a little 106 with throttle bodies and sequential gearbox and proper bit of kit.
Nice.
Definitely.
It does sound pretty cool.
Although we're BMW through and through, definitely the old French hot hatch.
Oh, it's good to get a bit of variation as well.
Definitely. I don't know if we've. Oh, there you go. ATS Des again. Thoughts on the B58 engine now it's been on the market for a while. I have to say we've stripped one apart that we bought that cracked a piston through some pretty chronically bad tuning. I mean they seem actually like a nice engine, really.
Yeah, oil filters are a bit of a problem on them. Seeing a couple of them have
they sort of
disintegrated. Just also speaking to another garage who's had a big end failure on one yesterday.
Oh, interesting.
On a reasonably low mileage one. Shall I mention it here? Oh, I won't mention it, but it's a pretty cool. It's a red E46M3 with a B58 in it.
Oh, I know.
That's had a big end failure.
Really?
And we were having a little chat about that on the phone, and it's the first I'd heard of that. So I'm not sure what was going on there. I haven't really seen any problems with it.
No, they seem pretty reliable.
Small filters, I think they're a pretty well designed engine.
There's some cool bits coming out for them as well, where obviously BMW's having, but also the Supra having them kind of opens them up to a really massive market. So I think it's an engine that will be developed more and more. And obviously you've got a couple of different versions of it. But they seem to just for us it takes excitement out of it a little bit because you can just bolt a huge turbo on and make a load of power, but at the same time it's amazing that we're at that day and age where an engine you can just essentially buy in most cars. You can just bolt bits on and make an absolute ton of power.
They're designed pretty well, aren't they, really?
And it's strange as well, they go back, they've sort of gone back on some of the bits BMW have been doing lately, like the split crankcase and things like that. They're actually back to main caps and things.
It's interesting.
But I think as well another one, the M55 S55 sort of era of the first direct injection straight sixes from BMW, and there's always an element of BMW will introduce something to their engines or an engine design that will already vaguely exist. I mean, they were new engines, but the technology then improves and they can make it so much neater and more integrated, and the B58 is much neater.
It's definitely, you can see where things have come from. How it wasn't an afterthought.
Sort of designed from
other bits.
Sweet.
Oh, somehow then we've gone over our 1 hour time frame. We were 5 minutes late, so that pretty much does conclude it for the day.
I think so.
Good old selection of questions again.
We'll be back again next week, and hopefully. Last week the internet cut out. This week YouTube didn't want to talk to the software we use. So
we'll get there.
Sorry, we will get there. Keep the questions coming in. It does. Well, A, it's interesting. B, it makes our life a lot easier. Because if we have to talk about stuff that hasn't been asked before, then sometimes we don't have we'll have a good answer for you, but ask beforehand and we can really make sure we've got the best answer for you with a bit of research behind it.
Definitely. So. And of course, if you are still watching, which 18 of you are, we've only had 3 likes. So if you are signed in, please do just like the video because it does help. It helps sort of YouTube's algorithm push it out to more people. So next week, hopefully, have more viewers.
Yeah.
More viewers we get, then we can start doing giveaways and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the plan. Also, if it's not just about the little questions. If you want us to talk through a general topic rather than a specific question about that topic, problem is a lot of stuff we could talk for hours and hours about. But if you wanted us to just talk through the fixture of a piston or whatever, or general engine oiling, anything like that, just whatever it is, ask away. If you'd like to see Truffles Bakery donut reviews as part of this weekly, then obviously tell us that, but also
get in touch with Truffles, because at the moment they only do the good donuts on a Friday, so really they'd have to go on a Wednesday to be like
cream
live
egg Easter specials and all weekend.
I'm excited for that. We'll fill you in on that later.
But thanks very much for watching. It has been good, and sorry for all the technical issues, but hopefully we'll see you here next week with a bit more reliability.
We will indeed. See you later.